welcome back to 709 Meridian, an audio commentary podcast. We are your hosts, Dee and Andrew,
Hello.
and we're back with our Summer of Duologies. The next entry this year is 1982's horror classic, The Thing, which, upon its release, wasn't quite the hit it eventually became, but it's that John Carpenter creep classic that everybody loves now. So
Everybody loves it now. If you want to know what people said about it before now, go find one of the old Leonard Maltin guides where he shits all over it, or they shit all over it. It'd be nice if they went through that and revealed who actually wrote those reviews for each entry, but whatever. Yes, So we will be doing this one and the 2011, which puts the OG 1952 or 53 Cold War one in our back pocket. But it's okay because the sequel to The Thing, the ill-advised sequel to The Thing, is a prequel that is essentially a remake of the original, sort of. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah, it's a remix.
Yeah.
Kinda.
So, which you have seen once, or you haven't seen at all, or
the newer one? I might have saw it like 10 minutes of it.
Well, yes, I can. We will talk.
Just sit somewhere
in a corner, like the Blair Witch, feeling bad about yourself for doing it. It's like reading Doomsday Clock from DC. But no, I will next week, folks. I will talk at length about the exact moment I just was like, not fucking watching the rest of this, and turned it off. So that'll be next week. This week, we will be diving into this. I don't want to. There's going to be enough. We're into. It's going to be one of those good movie episodes, folks. So we're going to be on tangent through the whole fucking thing because there's nothing to make fun of, basically.
No.
But there's
this shit is damn near perfect.
Yes, I think 1982 is the year of. Is there another year that has as good of alien movies as 1982?
Oh yeah, sci-fi just.
I don't think. I mean, this E.T. This E.T. and Star Trek 2. You've never had a year like that. It's not like Empire Strikes Back came out in some great year for sci-fi or something. This is the 82 was the fucking year, and then we'll talk more, but it did not go anywhere, basically. It didn't go anywhere.
No, not then.
No.
Because back then,
we can talk about
it was just,
Folks can't understand the re-release. They can't understand the re-release. They can't understand not being out on video. They can't understand not being on cable. They can't understand it not being on Tubi. You kids. Oh, and then I got to tell you what I just found out. Gym class, at least some places now, includes like low impact, self-guided gym class where you can go for long walks for the period.
Man.
I'm just like, seriously?
They used to make us run the track like 4 times.
Right. Like, it's like, and now my cousin was telling me about his experience, and he's saying that, they took all the athletes out of it. And so if you were on a team, you worked out during your gym class. If you weren't on a team, you weren't in the gym class. So it was just the non-jocks having fun. And I'm like, oh, so you're not playing basketball with 2 of the, bench guys who are still better than anybody else.
The actual players.
I'm just like, oh, that's nice. Oh, and then I heard about the walks. I'm like, really? You could just fucking walk around? Cool, folks.
Bullshit. Now
that's not how it was in the 80s and 90s.
No. You know how many fucking pull-ups I just hung on the bar for?
Oh my God. Oh, the only good thing about pull-ups was nobody, like one person did them, maybe 2. At most 3, but still, it sucked. Anyway, okay, so John Carpenter's The Thing, 1982. We've already seen some of this on the pod with Halloween, actually. He plays the old one. And so this was near and dear to his heart. John Carpenter is, for better or worse, a Howard Hawks fan, which we can talk about as we get going. All right, you ready?
Yes.
All right, let's go. Starting in 3, 2, 1. like straight into it. I vaguely remember there being a Universal logo that could have been for video. That also could have just been, um,
Yeah, they might have put it on for TV.
yeah, because it does really. I mean, just imagine this opening in the theater. Just the music from the Hateful Eight, just kicking your ass. Rob Bottin, woohoo, going on to RoboCop a few years later. He was the animatronic prosthetic gore guy of the 80s. No competition. Dean Cundy, here we got Dean. Yep. In what I believe is their last movie together. No, because didn't he shoot Little Big Trouble? He might have shot
Big Trouble.
Yeah, yeah. And then he ended up with that other guy who's like not Dean. Foster Turman, Bill Lancaster, that's Burt Lancaster's kid. I believe. Maybe not. No, I think that's wrong. I always assumed it was, but it's not. Here we have the opening to Predator, everyone, which we've already seen on the show. I saw Predator before this, so I was just like, oh, wow, okay.
Dude, I saw this.
I know. You've got to tell your story.
In the original run.
When you were 5 at most.
Yeah. I had a choice. It was when my mom took me downtown. We used to go down there on Saturdays, watch the movies. They had all those theaters down there, so it was a choice. E.T. was playing across the street, and The Thing was playing right in front of us, and I was like, let's see The Thing.
It's heartwarming.
Only assuming that it was supposedly about,
a friendly little alien come to Earth. Oh, damn, dude, no. Oh, dude.
No, really.
Oh.
I thought it was going to be the Fantastic Four thing because they had that cartoon on at the time. So I was like, oh,
yeah.
shit.
Oh, yeah.
They made a Thing movie. So my mom was like, really? You want to see this? I was like, hell yeah.
It's so cool, Mom. Nobody loves him, but he's big and orange. He's got a great heart. Where is he? This is weird.
So we watched it, and I'm just like, wow, this is not The Thing.
Nope.
But at a young age, around then, I was just already desensitized to a lot of this shit. So,
I mean, that is kind of the thing about this movie is that you throw this on in a dark room, it's pretty goddamn terrifying.
Yeah,
scary as hell. Really, and I don't think like Halloween. I'm mid on Halloween 1. Like I like Halloween 1, but I'm mid on that. Like that's just it's fine, but it's not one of Carpenter's best. Not when you got like Precinct 13, all those. And so
Halloween in itself is just so it's a simple horror story. It plays like a urban legend almost,
right? And this is Carpenter's first real big budget. Now he'd done we were talking earlier, I don't know if we were talking on the pod, but basically we could do the whole summer with just John Carpenter remakes. Because there was this got the sequel remake. But then there was The Fog, Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween eventually would technically get a remake. And so we could do all of those, but this came out in 82. Carpenter, if you can't tell, folks, I can talk about John Carpenter's career. So Carpenter did, and some of that is because he did great commentary tracks for all these when they came out on Laserdisc, which then got taken over. And basically, we owe John Carpenter the rediscovery of John Carpenter, which currently is still a thing and has led to him getting his son residuals from the Halloween movies for their score. But it was nope, I already lost my train of thought. Residuals, Carpenter. Nope. Maybe it'll come back. But here we've got Kurt Russell. So you saw this in 82. I saw this for the first time probably in 92.
Really?
It was a long ass time because it got such shitty reviews and nobody liked it. And then finally I was talking and I was like, oh, the thing. And somebody was like, well, yeah, it's actually really fucking great. And I was like, really? And it was like, yeah, it was John Carpenter's great. You didn't know this shit? And it was like, kind of no, right? Because we've talked about it before. In the era of movies playing on cable, in the era of, you know, VHS availability. So one other thing about VHS you got to realize, until at least the late 90s, until right before they died, hey, is that Chevron product placement? Until right before VHS died, they were as expensive as shit for the stores still. In the last 3 or 4 years of VHS, they started like leasing them and shit. Like it was really stupid considering they would then turn around and sell them, you know, for $15 to $20 direct to consumer a couple of years later. So it was really dumb. Sell-through pricing, I think, was what it was called. But your video store might not have the thing, right? Like their copy broke. Somebody stole it. Somebody recorded an episode of The Flash over it. You never know. So like your availability for these things was really limited. Okay, so here we have our 80s, fantastic 80s cast. Keith David Clennon, Norris, the dude who plays Norris. Not the dude
that always plays a dad.
The dude who always plays a dad. Wait, not the dude who plays Norris. Norris is only in like a couple other things, I think. The dude standing next to the guy who plays Norris. Everybody in this movie played a dad on at least network television, if not as a regular on Fox. Like, but here we are starting with a little bit of animal cruelty, trying to kill a nice little doggy here. We got some beautiful shots. They shot this not in Antarctica, maybe in
Alaska,
New Zealand. I don't know where they shot it. I can't remember. I was talking about audio commentaries where I got lost. Yes. So by the 90s, Carpenter had been doing hack work. Like we talk about They Live Now. We talk about nobody talks about
They Live.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness. Yeah. Like no, that's never
nobody talks about
that's never gonna catch on. But They Live has caught on enough, right? Like it's got a much better reputation than it ever did on release. Big Trouble in Little China's got a lot more love now than it ever did before. And The Thing sort of, I remember it really sort of popped in 1995 or 96, somewhere in the mid 90s. The Universal Special Edition Laserdisc came out. It was the first time it'd been released widescreen.
Yeah.
From sort of the mid to Untouchables is a great example of it, and that's 87. So from about that era, you lost this type of Panavision movie. Instead, people were framing for VHS, right? Like, even here, he's pretty safe in some of this, but you're still getting content outside the frame of the eventual pan and scan. And so by that time, I don't know what this might have been Carpenter's first audio commentary track, actually. He did it with Kurt Russell, or maybe it was Escape from New York. But in the mid 90s, Carpenter did nice new widescreen versions of all of his old movies, which people had only seen on VHS or late night TV, you know, fucking Showtime or Cinemax if you're lucky, but it's still not going to be widescreen. And then Halloween got a big re-evaluation in like 95, 96. We've talked about that ad nauseum.
So many re-releases.
Yeah, because for
till this day.
And it was because like there was some weird deal with the VHS with the video rights of Halloween. Like
Yeah,
Blockbuster had a video, like their own Blockbuster release of Halloween. It was so fucking weird. Richard
in the good
Mauser,
times.
everyone. The Good
Yeah,
Times, of course. That was like the most legit at
yeah.
after a certain point because it never had a like super legit early release unless we're missing. It must have actually had because when it first came out, only the studios really had stuff. I think Keith David was just looking at this camera, right? But anyway, um, we've got Richard Dysart. So he was the grandpa basically on LA Law.
Huh.
Like, I mean, he was one of the regulars. He was like
Huh.
Leland, I think, was him, but he was like a grandpa type character. Here's Wilford Brimley. Wilford Brimley in this film is probably, is he our age? Are we Wilford Brimley's age yet? We're
I don't
very
know.
close to Wilford Brimley in this movie.
Yeesh.
Yeah. Oh, we got
Windows. What the fucking
Windows.
the guy got kicked out of the Warriors. Uh
Oh,
oh.
here he is. Hell
Wait a
yes.
minute. Hold
Come
on.
on. Come on.
It's the man.
Lean in. There we go.
Get it. TK Carter. Oh,
Our second TK Carter of the recent times.
hell
So,
yeah.
folks, things to look out for in David Clennon was on LA Law too, wasn't he, or something? Like he was
Yeah,
a
he appeared in a lot of
yeah,
those shows. If he
uh,
wasn't a regular, he was like special guest star.
yeah. Okay, so just based on time, is Keith David actually like 19 years old? But
Actually,
he's got to be
David
young.
Clinton,
Yeah.
David Clinton and TK Carter reunite later on in the 80s, and He's My Girl,
Okay.
which was supposed to launch TK Carter.
Is that the show that's impossible to find?
That was a movie.
Oh, okay. Well,
But the show was Jesus, what was it? Just Our Luck.
okay, so folks, things to look out for in this, based on my memory of Carpenter's commentary track, you really want to watch how the walls work. And I remember this one was a big one for me. We haven't done Aliens, but like the idea of having numerous characters in a scene, like background players who act. You
Right.
think that that's a thing? It's really fucking not. Go watch a movie that have background players that are acting, and it really jumps out. This and Aliens are the two big examples where basically it's going on so much that you can even tell in the panics.
Man. Yeah, this was another one of those Channel 9 horribly bad pan and scan jobs.
I mean, it was just that bad on
I think they still
14.
play the TV version on there too.
You can get the TV version on the Blu-ray, I believe. There's the TV edited version, which I wish people would do better jobs with. I like a restoration. I would watch the infamous Mallrats TV cut if they like released a nice copy of it. I'm not going to watch the fucking TV copy of it, but for shits and giggles, the really funny one. Okay, so here we've got Kurt Russell in his hat. Oh, and we've got the music starting. So they are now going to investigate where the Norwegians came from. And at this point, all that has happened is the dog is run into camp. They've tried to kill the dog. And Donald Moffat, who is also a dad or granddad on everything, and also secret villain in many of those roles, shot it dead. Gary got to use his gun finally, his pistol or something. Um, Well, when was the comic? The comic was like 92. I probably fucking saw, oh god. I probably saw the movie because of the comic. I'll be real honest, folks. I probably did.
Well, for a while that was a thing. The thing they were always trying to continue it some
Yeah.
way. just like Aliens. They kept trying to do the definitive comic sequel.
Uh,
Aliens, The Thing, and RoboCop got a lot of those.
well, RoboCop it was different because they never really RoboCop didn't need like a sequel in the same way, right? Like Aliens, it was weird because they fucking did Alien, what should have been Alien 3, and then they had to cover
Mm-hmm.
their ass. And so, like, they learned not to do that
Mm-hmm.
type thing. But the thing is going to end on such a cliffhanger that to do anything with it, you need some sort of continuation. What's
Yeah.
different? Okay, everybody, shadow on the wall, dog going in. Who was it? Don't know. Fade to fucking black. Um, because John Carpenter also likes British horror movies and shit. Like, God, he's so good. Um, it was so sad. I was reading something where he like was at a showing or a concert or a Q&A, and somebody's
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, Escape from New York is fucking brilliant. And he's like, thank you, thank you. And then the guy's follow-up was, so what happened with Escape from LA? To which
Oh
Carpenter
shit.
appropriately said, hey, fuck you, man. But the other thing is, did he lie? Like, and
Yeah, it's kind of true.
the answer is complicated. The answer is like you couldn't make low or budget sci-fi action movies the same way that you did in the 80s as in the 90s. Like the business
Oh,
kept changing and it really bit Carpenter on the ass. Like he was the one I feel like. And what's frustrating about that is the movies he turned down, he was basically like Billy Crudup who turned down like Titanic and all this other big high profile shit. Um
but
but
that's what
like
they were striving towards. Him and like Wes Craven and all of them.
yeah, and
That's so weird.
Carpenter turned down Star Trek, the motion picture,
Oh,
which even if it had not done any better than it did, it still would have been one big open. And he turned down something else around this time too that went on to something, probably Runaway Train at some point. But
mhm.
here we're just getting, I mean, this is Carpenter with somebody building him fucking lots of great sets. Uh, by the time, so after this bombed, he did Starman, which was a video and cable hit, but did not. It was one of the
It
many
didn't catch on.
times it didn't catch on, and it was
They
supposed
even
to
tried with a
turn.
TV show.
It was supposed to turn Jeff Bridges into Harrison Ford, basically, which
Yeah,
has
because he
never
was
happened.
already coming off of Tron, and
Yeah.
this was
So
83, 84. Were kind of they were really trying to make him and Dennis Quaid happen.
Dennis Quaid was like a year later, but yes, and it was the same thing. They were
Hmm.
playing not superstar Harrison. They were trying to be not superstar Harrison Ford, basically,
Yeah,
is what it
regular
went.
guy
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, working man's.
Working man's Harrison Ford. Mom likes him, Harrison Ford. Anyway, um, well, no, because mom liked Harrison Ford too. But mom would also like Jeff Bridges and whatever. Also on Jeff Bridges, you got to go watch him in an interview. I don't know if he's gotten any better, but if you can track down the interview where he was talking about Winter Kills in like 2002 for the Anchor Bay release or whatever,
Hmm.
you realize the reason he didn't catch on is because like his natural demeanor, I don't know if anybody's worked with him since then, is really weird. Like he talks with like a helium voice at times. It was really weird. But okay, here we get our first touch of Rob Bottin doing a frozen dead body that apparently you young D thought that was Ben Grimm's dad or something. Like, at what point did you just go, "Oh shit, this isn't it at all"?
Well, I was thinking, all right, here's the part where they find the ring,
Okay,
and somebody's gonna put the rings on. But no, after a while, I don't know. I guess I was a bit of a savvy
I mean,
Five.
by this time, you're enraptured. I mean, the Ennio
Yeah, I'm thinking,
Morricone
what is
score on
this
this
anyway? Yeah.
is just so good.
I kind of shrugged it off, was like, yeah, at least it's not ET for the like 10th time and shit.
Um,
Because we saw that a lot back in the day,
we're
in
talking.
between the Friday the 13th movies.
I don't know if we were talking about it before we started recording, but yeah, ET, and we were talking about 1982 was the year of great sci-fi. So you had The Thing, which had to be rediscovered. You had ET, which in some ways was super hype in the 80s and then has fallen off in a way that
Yeah, it's really
is
falling off.
unexpected, even though
I
it's
don't know
fucking
why.
great. It's
Yeah,
so good.
it's the
Like it's
best. Well,
yeah,
nowadays, a lot of people are just purposely
yeah.
cynical about shit like that.
But
You can't even play a Wizard of Oz. It's
which
too,
is also great. Like so, yeah. But and then you had Star Trek 2. But what you didn't have is you didn't have sequels. You didn't have an immediate. So if this had come out in 90 and bombed, but not cost that much, we would have had 8 direct-to-video sequels.
hmm
Universal, fuck yeah, we would have.
yeah, and maybe a TV series.
Right. Oh, can you imagine if this were a TV series on the
Well,
fucking
actually,
Sci-Fi Channel? Hell
the
yeah.
TV series would be the prequel.
Mm. If they had sequelized this, they would have got it getting to humanity and unlikely being saved or something by the end, I imagine. But
hmm
um, what you did have to continue things was is you did big theatrical re-releases. If you want to learn more about that, go read up on the Star Wars cycle. That's how they kept Star Wars alive in the public imagination until
hmm
the late 80s when home video was.
Well, ET got one too.
ET got at least one, might have gotten two. And
Yeah,
it
it got one in
was,
the 80s, and then by 88, they finally dropped it on
they dropped
video.
it on video. And that was the big one. And just
They
think about
held it.
that 6 year window on that shit. And
hmm
I don't think it had been on network TV.
No, no, because it hadn't even been on cable till
Yeah.
way later.
So when you wonder what happened to Steven Spielberg in the 2000s and things, it's basically that he went from being able to dictate the most important home media decisions to not mattering, basically.
hmm
Okay. All right. Here we
Dick.
get some really Ben Grimm's looking bad. Some beautiful Rob Bottin there. What you got to realize is all of this is a practical effect, right? Old boy's
Mm.
butt is hiding probably a spigot. Like this is just, and this would have done. Oh, this is the nice thing about the thing is it's dark enough overall. You've got the Morricone score, and everybody's great. So pan and scanning it is not going to kill it, the effectiveness of it, like it would another movie. Like I would argue that Halloween isn't even remotely scary in the fucking pan and scan version. Like,
Oh no, no, you need the whole.
well,
You can't just. Yeah, the
but
Halloween pan
this,
scan, awful.
like, fuck yeah, baby. This is nightmare material. It's also where
Hmm.
I'd say Kurt Russell learned to shut up and act, which he does not
Right.
do very often.
Well, yeah,
Like,
good support. You know,
yeah,
he doesn't have to be the head guy here. He's, the guy who ends up
is
being.
it?
It's kind of a Ripley part.
Yes. He just happens to be the guy who makes it.
Yeah.
Okay, we get some intensity here. Oh, this is the shot. Oh, yes, that was the shot. It just we just either zoomed or dollied in on windows there. There's
Mhm.
no, it makes no sense that you would have a desk that had room behind it to dolly in from, type thing. All right, this is revolting.
Bleh. Ew.
I don't want to be a doctor. That's not what it looks like on St. Elsewhere.
It also looks like he had diabetes. That guy.
That guy,
Like,
dad slash pervy college professor on,
oh yeah,
or high school teacher.
college professor.
Oh, pervy high school teacher on 90210. Okay, everybody,
Yep.
here's what's really weird about everybody just being shocked about pervy dudes. It's not like it wasn't on TV in the fucking 90s. Like Beverly Hills 90210, whatever your pluses and minuses, did indeed feature pervy teachers after Jenny Garth and Shannon Doherty. That was a
Mhm.
regular thing. And also
Shit,
a
they made
very,
a lot of movies of the week about that shit too.
yeah, and it was for good reason, as nobody caught the guy at our high school for quite a while.
It was one of the coaches, wasn't it?
Oh fuck yes, it was a coach, of course
I
it was.
remember it was a coach.
It
Yeah,
was definitely a coach.
because I had his class. Had the nerve to talk to me about integrity, motherfucking guy.
God, gym teachers were really full of themselves. Like I get
Especially the serious ones. That's why I was like, "Fuck you."
shout out to Mr. R who did pass me, even though I totally overplayed a medical condition my senior year and should not have graduated. Shout out, sir. Shout out.
I
Um,
we had the sub for a while because one of our gym teachers left for a minute, like was out for the rest of the year or some shit. We had Jordan.
I don't remember.
Every kid was taller than him and shit.
Well, yeah, that's just what. Yeah, I've met since becoming an adult. I have met really short gym teachers, and they're really. I'm just like Napoleon was actually 5'7". This is not a good complex. Um, yeah, I worked with one who was like big into the dating scene, like
Yeah.
Tinder. Is that the straight one or the
Mm.
all? Yeah, he was like into Tinder and shit. He was like talking to me about it. I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. Your hair's making me uncomfortable, sir. It's too perfect and filled with product. Um, okay, so we're 3 years from Alien,
Mm-hmm.
and Alien before Aliens sort of just got
It's my favorite
grouped.
part.
Look at this. Oh God. Oh, oh.
Oh, shit.
And then it
Poor
comes
dog.
out. Then it
Yeah.
comes right, like it's not turning into the skull. The skull comes out.
Oh shit. When the dogs really start freaking out.
Jesus. Hente furries must love this movie. Now we get fighting. And so, I mean, this is just
Oh,
everything of Nightmare in one.
that one said, I'm out. I got to get
Oh, so
out.
cool. And he's the one who gets
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, he's
He's
the
the
one that
one
gets
who
it.
gets it. And it
Oh,
just so gross.
how is he
No
not?
music. No music, folks. We've just got the sound of the wind outside. I do need to see Hateful Eight, I guess.
Hmm.
I do love this music. And I assume that Tarantino's just actually doing a thing ripoff. Oh,
I I hadn't seen it
you haven't? Okay.
just once. No, I've seen it once. There's a scene where I was like, I'm gonna shut this shit off.
Okay. It's really
Oh,
gross and a spider tentacle monster, but its tentacles Just they do hurt.
Mm.
So the original thing is the thing from another world. It's 51, 52, or 53, or 50,
Mhm.
or 54, sometime before 55 and not in the 40s. And it has similar stuff, but it's got an Anjuin in it.
Mm.
Um, the monster is a giant vegetable played by James Arness, who would be on Gunsmoke, which was at one point in history a big deal. And so it had some notoriety. It showed up on in Halloween, and that was a nod from Carpenter, who really liked basically Howard Hawks did siege movies, and Carpenter does lots of siege movies. Assault on Precinct 13, some of the thing, and so like he was like the new Howard Hawks, which yeah, better politics probably, but I mean, he was buds with Kurt, so who knows? But this was just a very natural, like, it seemed very natural that John Carpenter would do something like this. And so,
Mm.
and they let him, folks, they let him do tentacles and dead dogs.
Oh, oh man.
Do we get a shot of him shooting the dog itself? Like,
Mm.
nobody likes. Okay, yeah, we do get that. Okay, so
Oh.
we think a lot now about animals in the age of social media, where cats sort of had their big moment at the beginning of, like, from I'd say 2000. No, because it was already in that fucking 50-year-old virgin or whatever, or one of
Mm.
those. They make a comment about cats, and that's how
Oh shit.
one of them gets popular. He does cat videos. So like cats had an early moment where people started going, oh yeah, cats, whatever, they're cool and cute too. We just didn't know. Non-cat people, we have probably had an emergence of cat people. Dog people, right? Dogs are everywhere now. It's not like people disliked their animals less just because they couldn't post pictures of them. So you are just killing a bunch of dogs in a fucking big Hollywood movie. You do
Mm.
not have that often, I will say.
No,
It's a
not
turn
on
off.
camera.
It's a turn off, folks.
Well, that's when they started to have to put that credit in there too. The you know,
What?
no
Yeah, what?
animals have been harmed,
No
and
animals were harmed has been. God, I was watching something and it's like, oh yeah, they hit that fucking thing. What set that off, I wonder, in like the 70s that they had to like
Mhm.
start calling it out.
I think the '80s it
80s, it was really big.
was Milo and Otis, right? That's when people were
Wasn't
like,
that on?
yeah, people were starting to finally find out what was going on with animals and shit with that one.
I don't know, folks. You think what was his name? Doc Antle from Tiger King was treating those animals well in the 80s? Doc Antle in the Femaphore 7 or whatever. Um, Speaking of,
Because they didn't even, I don't even think they had that credit in those Benji movies or anything.
oh God, they were just the Benji movies. Oh my God. And now you look back at and they were doing that shit forever.
Uh,
Oh my God. What's great, folks, is the more you learn about human anatomy, the more pieces you can see in this.
yeah.
Fade to black there. We're not doing the scene, but we open up on the lecture. Oh, what a fucking transition. Okay. But here we have our hanging out scene. Is Donald Moffat gonna pick Windows up and sit him down on a table like Hicks does Danute? No, but it is what they're doing in that scene. And I think that so the Thing's rediscovery, I feel like I like this story, so I've told it possibly before. But the Thing's rediscovery was basically that you had like your initial late 2000s, 2000 to 2010, film what would be now Film Bros, but they weren't quite as obnoxious yet because they weren't on their way to becoming incels yet, on the spectrum. But they basically got everybody introduced to the thing again. And these are probably guys in the same cohort as us that, it was around, but then they got to rediscover it. And it was one of the early DVDs. So it was one of the DVDs that people would get when you still just bought the new DVD that you were interested in every week because it was $20. And it was a fucking Saturday night, or it was a night because you had all the special features and you were interested. And so late 2000, and then, probably rising up. And then 2011 thing happened and was a complete and utter fizzle out. Like nothing happened with that movie other than it sucking. And then you very quickly got to the point where the thing is now, probably on TCM. It's probably been streaming on Criterion. It has got essays written about it. It has 45 steelbox,
deep with it,
4K, UHD, 8K restorations. Everybody fucking loves it. And now it's become one of those movies where guys condescendingly say to any woman, well, have you seen the thing yet? And they've ruined it in some ways. But more people appreciate the thing now than ever did before. And it has had a influence on modern, like your Blumhouses, probably, I'm making this up at this point, but I'm being nice, or your A24s for sure. It did have an impact on your A24 type horror, which is good because that shit's better than the shit we were watching if we were watching the comparable in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are now 37 minutes into the movie. On the TV version, you probably cut out most of the dog stuff. And we're now getting to what was one of the big scenes in the original, which is in Halloween. The scene in Halloween is when they're measuring the meteor or the spaceship. So,
all right, when they go to the rim.
Yep, when they go to the rim. We're still just in that part of it because it's not that long of a movie, and it's just Bill Lancaster. I don't think ever wrote anything else. I think he died of cancer at a young age. 1997. Nope, not at all. I mean, yes. Oh, and he was Burt Lancaster's son. Okay, here we go. He wrote The Bad News Bears.
What, the remake?
Nope, 1976.
The original?
The original.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Bad News Bears Go to Japan, 1978. The Thing, 1982. Firestarter, earlier unused screenplay. They make sure to say that he did not write that fucking movie. And then that was it. When the studio did not match. Oh no, he had a deal that was going to get him to write. Oh, that's right. Basically, if this had been a hit, Carpenter would have made Firestarter.
Oh.
But I don't know when did Burt Lancaster didn't die until 94, so it's not like he was I mean, maybe he needed more help and he was just, it's like the Millennium Falcon. But yeah, so I'm wrong, folks. I stand corrected. Bill Lancaster is Burt Lancaster's kid, and I need to see The Bad News Bears because Bill Lancaster writes one hell of a script.
It's not bad overall, the first one.
Right. That's basically what I'd always heard, but by the time, it's like The Love Bug. By 1981, you're already 3.5 sequels in or something. So weird.
3. Shit. Japan?
I think that might have been the second one, because that was 78.
Japan was the third one.
Rushed one.
The second one was Breaking Training.
Oh, okay. The
where they
Bad News
steal the
Bears
van.
strike back.
Then a third one, God, Jackie Earl
Okay.
Haley, who couldn't keep it together on screen, kept every
Hmm.
time he was on screen, he was wearing shades, leaning on Engelberg, and
Um,
just a rock star.
we'll do Bad News Bears, folks, right after we do Meatballs. And Meatballs requires, I don't know, does somebody want to sponsor the podcast with a certain kind of liquor or other mind altering substance? Then we can talk Meatballs. Oh God,
Meatballs.
I remember when I went
Never
back to
liked
the,
meatballs.
because it's fucking terrible. It's so bad.
I don't
But
think
for
I ever liked it.
some reason, I thought Meatballs 1 was secretly good. And I went and I watched it. Like,
No, you're not the only one.
I was like, this fucking sucks. It's not even
I remember
like,
it being on a lot back in the day.
and maybe
And
the TV version's better. Maybe the T. Oh, so I finally watched the original King Kong versus Godzilla English dub, and the English dub is better than the Japanese one for the purpose of it is shorter. And King
mm,
Kong versus Godzilla is an incredibly boring movie, and so it is shorter and therefore better. So maybe that's what happens with Meatballs. Like I don't know.
yeah.
But I do. I mean, regardless of Bill Murray being Bill Murray in reality, when you can go and listen to our Ghostbusters episode, incredibly complimentary of the gentleman. Like
Hmm.
he has a lot of charm in it. So it's not like I went back and watched Meatballs after being sick of Bill Murray and was just like he's not. No, it's like Stripes sucks too. Uh,
Well, well, yeah. Stripes. Stripes really. The only funny part of Stripes was the training part, and then it doesn't end when they graduate. When I was little, I used to think that's when it was the end of the movie, but then there's like
fucking
a whole
should have.
another half of the fucking movie.
Well, it's like Spies Like Us, right? Like
Ugh.
wait, so basically what we're saying, folks, is
One of
Full
my
Metal
cousins
Jacket.
convinced me that was a great movie, and I watched it. And I was
It's
like,
not.
it's
It's
all
better
right.
than I remember or than I thought it would be, but it's not. No, like we did
I
much
mean,
better. Like that's what we forget, I guess, about Chevy Chase in the '80s. Fletch is a good movie. No,
hmm
like Fletch is good. Chevy Chase did make good movies like Foul Play. Fucking love Foul Play. Foul Play is
seems like
great.
old times.
Seems like old times. Very good on TV. TK Carter.
Hmm.
Um, so like he did make stuff that was like good and like a real movie. But like by about I don't know when was Deal of the Century. Chevy Chase at some point clearly the ego started playing in, and
Well,
he
yeah, Deal of
wasn't.
Century. That might have been what?
And that was '83 or '84.
It was probably right
Best
before
defense,
Vacation.
best defense was '84, so it was '83.
Yeah.
And that
Okay,
fucking
so both that and Vacation came out in '83.
yeah, and fucking Deal of the Century. That was the thing that derailed. Was that Sigourney Weaver or was she in Best Defense
No, she was in Deal of Century. Yeah,
with Gregory
Gregory
Hines?
Hines.
Right. I
Yeah.
like. I want to see this movie, but I've never been able to.
All I
Oh
remember was the poster.
yeah, I know that they're thumbs upping and she thumbs down, and then
Yeah.
um Sigourney Weaver never really played the same Hollywood game. She never like
No, she was
when
never the girlfriend or the wife.
when she hit it, she just stuck with what was
She was the
working for
boss.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like
She was always the, cerebral, intelligent.
yeah.
I'm doing this on my own woman. Like they didn't even, even in Ghostbusters.
Oh my
You know,
god. Mm, the '80s folks, '70s and '80s. I mean no, starting in probably the '60s or no, definitely the '80s. The boss, girl boss. personifications in the 80s. It's a very, there are multiple books about that at this point, but a really good one for that is actually Working Girl, because you get this contrast with Melanie Griffith, who is a Jersey girl or a Long Island girl who just happens to be really smart, but it doesn't present. And she just hasn't been given it. She hasn't been in a position to have the opportunity for it. And it's versus Ivy League Sigourney Weaver. And it's just lovely. It's a lovely film. Highly recommended. We will not be watching it for the podcast.
Not anytime soon.
No. However, if someone wants to sponsor the podcast with some sort of I don't know, Working Girl, I'd want champagne and charcuterie sponsorship or something, like, we can talk. But okay, so here we're out in the trawler, which is, I'm sure Universal was like, no, dude, make it PG and we'll have a trawler playset. Like Star Wars, dude. Like Star Wars.
Yeah, because a lot of these movies were clout chasing Star Wars at one point.
Oh, yeah. At least with the toy contracts. Somebody did. Somebody told. This has so many play sets. Do it now. Maybe not.
Just cut a little bit of the gore out.
You could do this as a play set now. Todd McFarlane. Dick.
Right?
Never mind.
And then you've done a play set of everything else.
Somebody's doing a play set of something and it's absurdly expensive, but it's like, the cantina.
All of them are.
The full cantina.
All of them are.
And it's like $600. And I'm like,
they all are. It's
dude, like,
if only diehard fans couldn't afford this shit.
It's like, Also, one of the grosser parts, didn't want to see Norris with his shirt off, covered in slime. Just gonna say. Just the beautiful blue lights of Crystal Lake, except it's Dean Cundey, so they're blue lights because it's more visible in the snow or some shit, and like you're not hiding it. It's just beautiful. It just, yes. So the game. So there was a game of this in 82 for the 20th anniversary, and it's getting a remaster this year, and I am considering, though I think I don't think I would enjoy the game, sadly. But because I never could really get through.
Point in time, they were doing a lot of creep games.
Yeah, and this was basically a Resident Alien, I think. But that's fucking weird.
Carchum!
Okay, so we did the spacecraft thing. That was at minute 37. We're now at 48. We're very far along here. Keith David 100% just looked into the camera. He was looking at something, grinning, and I think he was like, this is really fucking cool, guys. And then he's like, right?
Why is Wilford Brimley all crouched over like that?
When does Wilford Brimley turn, folks? When does he turn? And so by this time, we would have these, like, by the late 80s for sure, we sort of had these elaborately explained, I don't know if you'd say serial killer movies because that hadn't really popped off yet, but your mysteries would be as well explained as an Agatha Christie, but all of them, right? Like in any way, there's always some sort of exposition explaining how everything worked in the movie.
Silence of the Lambs.
And Silence of the Lambs would sort of do that. That sort of kicked off the serial killer thing, but it didn't really play into the, I've just discovered the truth about this situation. but that was a big deal. Like the Hitchcock reveal, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but it was just a little bit different. So this being from 82 and not explaining everything and never explaining everything was very different when people would come back to it, right? Like, because 82, 82, 83 is this weird period, transitional period to the, the sort of the mid 80s didn't have a franchise. It didn't have.
Well, by the mid '80s, you had Friday the 13th,
You had
and
those, but you didn't have like what you didn't have a blockbuster franchise yet. You didn't have like
no.
Indiana Jones was in the mid 80s. The second one underperformed, pissed off McDonald's or whoever. And so you had this lull, and then that's why the summer of sequels would be such a big deal, right? Everything would
Yeah,
come back. You
and they were
only had,
competing against Batman.
right. But I mean, you did have Star Trek continuing, but you got to understand Star Trek hadn't been on Netflix yet. It wasn't okay to like Star Trek yet. And now everybody gets to enjoy Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, right? Oh, I'm so happy for you that you got to enjoy this. You didn't have to argue with people that, no, actually, Star Trek 2 is better than Star Trek The Next Generation. You didn't have to have that argument like we got to have in high school when you're just like, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but season 2 sure was. Like I got chill with Star Trek The Next Generation like by 94, and when we went through and watched it again, I'm like, yeah, that's because that's about the time it became a real fucking show and like just a weekly procedural. And
you
there
have to
are
measure. To me, I didn't think Next Generation really kicked in till they switched uniforms.
there was that.
That
That
you could
yeah,
that's the
that's a
quality.
really good, yeah. Oh,
And if
it's
Wesley is is in it more than he needs to be.
yeah. And that's kind of the thing about that is you can like Will Wheaton now and you can think he's great and you can think he got unfortunately shit on with that stuff, but go back and watch the shows. He's annoying as fuck. It's kind of like how, oh, George Clooney wasn't carrying ER on his back. Nobody was raising it to a level that it did not have
But
without him.
I'll give Will Wheaton this. They didn't make him a piece of meat like they did on Sequest with poor Jonathan
Oh,
Brandis.
Jesus Christ. No, no, actually, Will Wheaton, Paramount was not part of the secret
Yeah.
pedophile ring. That was the guys who did Sequest, like Steven Spielberg.
Mm.
But yes, yes, Will Wheaton never. Well, I mean, and that's because he hated it. He talks about it on that
Yeah,
awesome.
he said he didn't like it, but they didn't even,
Yeah, they didn't
Wesley was
even
never pushed
on
as,
Teen Bop and
yeah,
things. Yes,
the heartthrob of Star Trek.
you want to think about how you people think that today's weird with the objectification of teenagers. Go back to when you bought magazines that were ostensibly were for teenage girls, but that was to, get them into the patriarchy. But the magazines were actually supported by pedophiles. Like, though they do have that now, where the Instagram moms are like, yes, she has lots of pedophiles after her, but she makes us $100,000 a month on Instagram. So what are we gonna do? Oh, Ben Burt punches there. Poor Windows. He just goes down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing is in the 80s, it was so well, no, in the 80s, they thought it was so funny to have somebody at work or inside wearing sunglasses that you constantly had somebody doing it. And 9 times out of 10, that it would be their nickname, like Windows or Shades or
Shades.
something. Everybody was named Shades. Like,
I'd have tied this fool up straight out,
Mm.
carried him.
So we're now taking Wilford Brimley out to a shack where he's going to be separated from everybody else. They're doping him up, which is good because Richard Dysart no doubt played a doctor many a time. So I trust him. Wilford Brimley, at the ripe old age of 32 in this one, folks. Well, somebody. Oh, Martin Short has a Steve Martin joke where he's like, considering you were born at the age of 70, or 65, I feel like you've aged incredibly well, Steve Martin.
Yeah, because he's looked the same for like since we were kids,
Yep.
almost.
I mean, because when Roxanne was when it was like full silver, I think, and then since then, yeah, he's just always been. You're like, oh, how old's Steve Martin now? Oh, he's 29. Wow, that's amazing.
He did the one movie where his hair was dyed, and that was a
Yeah,
flop.
he did. My cousin. That was My Blue Heaven,
Mm.
which I have not seen since 1992 or something. And that's a Rick Moranis. That's one of the last. Somebody's trying to get Rick Moranis back for a sequel. Oh, Spaceballs. They're
Well,
pretty
he was
sure.
supposed to. They had shit. This is like years now. They've been talking about it, but he was supposed to come back in Shrunk, the updated Honey I Shrunk the Kids reboot,
Okay.
headed by Josh Gad as the son.
Okay, it's just Josh Gad bullshitting again. Then he's trying to get him back for Spaceballs, which is going to be a Josh Gad vehicle, Spaceballs 2. And people are like, why are they making a Spaceballs 2? Why would Mel Brooks do that? And I'm like, he's 95 and he thought he'd be dead by now, and he doesn't give a shit. He
Yeah, that's
likes
true.
it when young people are nice to him. Like, you want to get creeped out by John Carpenter? Read why he did The Ward. He did The Ward because he wanted to be around a bunch of scantily clad 23-year-olds. And you're just like, cool, John, cool. Okay, all the whole blood has now been destroyed because that's the only way to test for who's the thing. We're doing a very bad job recapping this. But we've still got a lot of fucking people. We are
still a lot there.
58 minutes in, and we have
Every
still
time I watch
got
this,
7 people.
I keep wondering who got picked off when, because
I think the only way it makes any sense at all is that somehow Wilford Brimley turned really early on.
Yeah, or we're to assume that was who the dog walked in on, but it couldn't have been.
Well, no, because what if Mauser goes to talk to Wilford Brimley and gets him? Also, it doesn't actually matter who the dog walks in on. It just matters that somehow Wilford Brimley got a lot earlier than anybody thought. And that did not rhyme on purpose. Yes.
There was an off-screen interaction between Wilford Brimley and
the dog or Mauser. I mean, that's the only person who goes in. The dog could have gone and gotten 2 people. We don't know. Like, and every sequel to it has been an entire cop-out because it's one of those things where it's like, well, any resolution to this will in some way be a cop-out of something else we did. So in the Dark Horse comic, they're both human, and they go to, and McReady rescues whoever is going to survive with him, and I think this is about when they start falling like flies. And then the thing gets there some other way anyway. So like didn't fucking matter. The thing had already started taking over the world outside of them being under siege. So it didn't matter. So, Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1, 2, and 3, actually. But yeah, so you just can't. It's because it's not the story of an alien takeover of Earth. It's the story of these 10 people getting picked off.
Where's Beard Guy?
Beard Guy's dead. They killed him. That
really
was
already?
Oh yeah. Oh no, other Beard Guy. You got other Beard Guy. You're right. Ginger got it already, but
Richard Dreyfuss.
No, there he is. He just doesn't have. Oh, was he just standing behind, dude? Yeah. Did you just call him Richard Dreyfuss?
That's what he looks like. Jaws.
Yeah. I was gonna call him Jenny Garth's bad teacher.
No, that's the guy that molested Gabrielle Carteris.
Except she's older than me.
Right.
She also did not have a great experience on that show, I don't think, and I'm sorry that happened, but also
it was all Jenny Garth's fault.
It was all, a lot of it was probably Shannon Doherty's fault, let's be real.
Yeah, Shannon.
But after everyone watches The Boys episode 4 of season 4, you do have to start thinking about how much accountability do you want to put on at the very least, psychologically abused tween to teenager. So think about that, folks. Deep thoughts. Okay. So that pan and scan, that would have actually been a beautiful pan and scan because you're just doing the 3 guy and you can start and carry along. So that is another thing about this is the camera moves would have pan and scanned well. This, of course, would have just made it seem like it's all a Kurt Russell movie, even though we're 62 minutes in and it's entirely an ensemble piece. Damn it, Mac, I'm a doctor. Okay, folks, if anybody remembers a time that I liked blue lights other than this movie, drop it in the comments. Because I just love them here.
Yeah, it really works in the polar thing. Oh! Did I ever send you Zombie Zombie?
I don't think so.
The remake that they did with the G.I. Joe figures? It's on YouTube. I gotta send you that shit.
Right. Okay. Again, this would pan and scan just fine. And you would get, to see some of the composition. But this is Kurt Russell's, this is 82. So is this his first grown-up role in a studio picture?
Probably.
Because next year he'd do Silkwood. Great movie. Check out Silkwood. But yeah, he
because Elvis was a TV movie, right?
Elvis was a TV movie. And Escape from New York is a grown-up, but that was Avco Embassy. That was the Coca-Cola company, folks. Right before they folded. After Swamp Thing. Big sad. Big sad. I still read my stupid fucking classic film or film score monthly newsletter every month going, where is it? Where is it, you fuckers? Just say it. He's got it on his website. You can do it. They released a $400 vinyl box set of his of Harry Manfredini's, what's it called? Friday the 13th scores or some shit. You can sell it. I don't care if you fucking say an undiscovered score from Friday the 13th composer Harry Manfredini. Give me
But it was
something
all just,
better than the tape.
wasn't it all reused though?
Yes, they have the Friday
So
13th stuff. Yes,
up until maybe seven, it
yes.
all it all sounded the same.
If you want to have fun, um, acquire it legally, and then run it through. There's this app called Music Brains Picard where you can do a sound fingerprint,
Mm-hmm.
and it just thinks that it's all the same fucking track because they all sound exactly the same. Okay, so now we've got Jennings. After a very nice time lapse, we just had a jump scare. Who goes there? And so we miss a scene where Jennings went and got a coat and he put down his candle. And now we're getting this beautiful blue and red. Oh, just
Mm-hmm.
Dean, feed it to me, Dean. Feed it to my eyes. Movies really looked great for like this beautiful, like high
Oh no.
saturation period. Okay, but what we do is we cut to the middle of. Oh wait, no, we haven't even started the interrogation scene. We
Not
just set
yet.
it up like an interrogation scene, right? Like, I wonder if they ever published the score. I don't know. What was David Clennon in that we would have known him from in the early 90s? Wasn't he like a
Oh,
30 something?
he was he was the heavy in the movie Downtown.
David Clennon
Yes,
from
he was.
Waukegan, Illinois?
Mhm.
Okay.
That I do remember. That was the Forrest Whitaker, Anthony Edwards team up.
Okay, yeah, yeah. What
They were
else
going to
was
be
he
the
in?
new lethal weapon.
Or I still haven't seen it. Sorry, I feel weird about Anthony Edwards' movie career. Like
Yeah.
I feel like acknowledging it is just like kind of just being a little given it like it feels just sad in a way. Let me see.
Yeah, because he really
Clement.
should have been.
There should have been a place for Anthony Edwards, and there just
Yeah,
wasn't.
like he should be at least. He should it be Clooney level at this point. As much as he put in,
As much as
he's
he
been
put
working.
in.
Yeah, he's been working since he was a kid. You know.
Yeah,
And
he put in the work, but he didn't quite hit it. Like,
yeah, he didn't hit it, but he at least
and
he said,
some of
"I'm
that,
never gonna do another fucking nerds movie after part two."
I will say this: some of um, Anthony Edwards' thing, we just got to say it. Dude went bald at 32 or something.
Yeah, part of it was.
Dude lost bald, and you want to talk about bald representation of cishet white men, you have to realize the reason that nobody bought Sherry Stringfield liking him on a yard was because he was bald. So
Wow.
take that where you may, but like, nah, like, okay, so Fuchs is gone without ever telling anybody that McCready, he found McCready's shit. But we know it's not McCready. Oh my God, this is really smart. This is so smart. Though, again, we don't know the context that McCready got into that scene.
Uh-uh.
Okay, so basically what I'm saying about the thing and how they lay this out is every scene is the reveal and Silence of the Lambs, except there's no weight to most of them, and you never get a resolution on
Yeah,
what
this is
door
very
Jody's knocking on. Like, that's how this whole thing
this
it
this yeah,
is
everything's
layered.
stacked.
Yeah,
It's one on top of the other.
It's plotted like fucking Jenga. Like but like a 4-dimensional Jenga. It's beautiful. Oh, just like that shot, which would have
Blue light.
looked hilarious on VHS. Just
it would have been pushed in. You wouldn't even
look
see
at
one of the lights.
look at Mauser. Mauser's still alive at this point. Look at Mauser would have just been like going all over the place with the fucking plaid fuzz. See, I would have pushed for stakeouts one of these days, but fuck Richard Dreyfuss. Unless they find out he's got a brain tumor, that dude needs to. Well, his son was always a piece of shit online, it turned out. And then people were just like, oh, it's just dad too.
Right. Runs in the family.
Okay. So Big Red is having chest pains right now because he's so excited. He's not taking care of himself. Right? Let's just keep watching and see. But here we have a easily pan and scannable shot, but we're not losing, like, there's still additional context to it, right? Like, we've just turned the scene over to TK Carter here. Previous to this, oh, but he found the thing. How does that make any fucking sense? Because we thought Jennings had the thing. Oh no, he went up to he just left McReady up in the shack. But that means that apparently the piece that Jennings found ended up in the shack. Another movie that is very easy to explain is the Big Sleep, the Bogart Bacall. Oh my God, what's the author's name? Anyway,
trying to get me.
That one is inexplicable in this. The Thing is much more explicable because you're not dealing with people. You're dealing with a fucking space organism that is everything it is at once, right? Like it's a collective, and we don't ever have a scene in this movie where it gives the evil alien speech and tells them what they've been
trying to do anything.
There's no Independence Day with Brett Spiner thing. It is just, the ultimate in alien terror or whatever.
Yeah, it just wants to be.
Do you think?
Why? I'm really surprised this isn't compared to Alien more often. It's almost like a flipped version of it, kind of.
You think about, like, a lot of things were a lot like, right?
Yeah,
like,
but when they were like the other ones that were like Alien were blatant Alien ripoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, this doesn't have any girls in it, so
no. Especially one of those damn Resident Evil movies. Oh my God. James Cameron should have sued.
Okay, down goes Big Red. This is important.
Cool, man. Come on.
Do you think that Carpenter ever thought about doing Kurt Russell in They Live?
Probably. He might have been busy doing something at the time, or it was just like
he wasn't. I mean, Kurt Russell was at the top of his game at that point for the first time.
He might have skipped it just for the fact that he's on the bigger shit.
What was his big hit?
He totally would have done it.
What was Kurt Russell's big ass hit that made him the shit in 86 to 89?
When did Tequila Sunrise come out?
You mean that unwatchably bad movie?
But that was a movie the moms liked.
Yeah, I'm not.
Remember?
Yeah,
That was the age of Michael Douglas, and
Sorry, was that Tequila Sunrise was December 88. Yes, this was their shit. This was, but yeah, and Kurt Russell was a little older, but he was finally making it happen, except
Overboard.
Yes, Overboard was huge, but that wasn't a fucking action movie. So think
It wasn't
about
an action movie, but they allowed him to do action pictures like Tango and Cash and shit.
just
Like suddenly he was an action guy.
Best of Times. So Best of Times was a video slash
Cable
hit. And because what it turned out, I assume this was boomers. What boomers really wanted to see was movies about when they were in high school.
Right.
And then he did, yes, then Overboard was a huge hit, huge video hit, huge cable hit, probably still can deliver some amusing shit because it's not anything problematic Goldie Hawn does in that movie's intentional. So like it aged really, it got a long lifespan. Wow, this is gross. But oh yeah, so dude died. So does that mean that the fucking the thing duplicated it so well the body had a heart attack? Okay. The Winter People was the bomb. So Winter People was when it started getting iffy. Then Tango and Cash was 89. Backdraft played like a Kurt Russell still got it, and that was only 2 years later. If you want to think about how fast shit was happening.
Yeah, because it was turning over by the early 90s.
40. He was 40 years old and his career was on the fucking ropes. 41 to 40 to 41, he did Captain Ron, which I think is at least funny, if not actually good, and Unlawful Entry, which I need to see again, but I think is bad. Okay. Tombstone,
cheesy, but it was good.
Which I stand by being an unbearable piece of shit. Stargate, 94. He was back again.
Yeah, that was back again.
Falling off. Because Tombstone was like Tombstone's a bro movie, a film bro movie that has like plus minus white ladies really like it because they're hot for some of the dudes or something. Like there's a reason it has an audience. Wyatt Earp's actually good. I'll just point that out. Like Kevin Costner's despite saying that, I mean, like explaining why he and Jewel never dated, he didn't really handle that well. I mean, he did, but he also didn't. But Kevin Costner's actually, in hindsight, quite he never turned into a piece of shit. So it's okay. But yeah, so Stargate was the comeback. We did Executive Decision. Kurt Russell got fucking Escape from LA made off of Stargate. Then they did Breakdown, which is a moderate hit, right? It was a well-priced hit.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And it's just like
that's the last time I can remember he was, big time till he started just playing supporting parts.
Yeah, because then he did Soldier. That was a bomb because it's a terrible movie. His next attempt at a comeback was 3,000 Miles from Graceland. Speaking of Kevin Costner, that's an unwatchably bad movie. But he was doing supporting roles in Vanilla Sky. Then he tried being serious dramatic with Dark Blue. And then he started doing feel-good movies for Disney with some other performances here and there. And yeah, so I mean, it's just like Kurt Russell worked his ass off to be a movie star, and it just never happened in a certain way.
It was there, and then it was gone.
It was there, it was gone. He and Goldie never teamed up again, shaky. Which was stupid, and that was his ego.
Well, they did recently, but it's...
I mean, the Captain Christmas, who gives a shit? Like, it's too late. You needed to do something after. You needed to do an action. You need to do Bird on the Wire with him and Goldie.
Oh, right. That was the one.
Yeah. You need to do that. You needed to have
That was shit. Mel Gibson, right?
Mel Gibson.
Oh fuck!
That's
I
how
think I gotta watch
early.
that.
I know they were selling him as just he was just because he was just Mel. Once Braveheart hit, he wasn't just Mel anymore. They like so fucking weird. Just the speed with which celebrity marketing went in the fucking 80s. It's incredible. It's because everybody was on coke and they were working a lot. If anybody knows a good recap of that, drop it in the comments. Okay, look at how many fucking people are still alive, and we've only got 28 minutes to go.
Because they go real fast after this.
Yep. Because this is the fucking because we've been so paced out with it. So like you're like, how are they going to get through all these people? You're about to find out, folks.
They start to seriously drop after this.
I do
Like this
not
scene alone.
understand how, even if you were watching it on video, even if you were Mike Clark of USA Today, you were going to shit on this movie after this sequence.
Yeah, because this is some suspenseful shit right here.
We've got no music, right? The Ennio Morricone score, which has been coming in and out to terrify us, we got none of it. Okay. Windows. He was human. Dude wasn't sure because nobody knows, because the thing never tells you what the experience is. You literalize that shit in a comic book, it's going to fuck it up. Because I think the comic is just basically just wants to take over the world and just wants to get the president or something. Like, it's just that shit. Like, yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, so Doc Copper, that's Richard Dysart. Ooh, you're a murderer, McCready.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit. Huh? Damn flies.
So at this point, they're all in here freaking out. We have not gone out to the shack yet, so we don't know what Blair's been up to this whole fucking time. Okay. That was not Kurt Russell's hand, folks, if you were paying attention. Okay, so who is it? It's the fucking stoner who, like, nobody really was paying any attention to. Uh-oh. Oh, there's how you do a cut. Yep. God. Just fucking, I mean, it is just fucking grotesque, except think about how terrified. I mean, sorry. The grotesque nature of the thing in these scenes is to get the audience's response to be mortified, disgusted, screaming. It is to get you to empathize with dudes. Like, I don't get exactly why it didn't, like, I still don't get it.
Because, all right, Alien had the one scene where John Hurt, you know, the xenomorph comes out of his chest. That was like nobody had seen some shit like that up until that point. But here, within pretty much, you have that scene about 4 times already in here. You have the dog, you have the one guy, you have dude in the with the chest, the head came off, and now you have this. So that's why I say, in a way, you could become desensitized to the shit, or
Oh,
to some people, it becomes old hat after you done seen it.
ugh, poor
Wow.
Windows. Oh, that's a key art shot. Not Windows, but
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Russell against the wall.
Knowles. Mm.
Keith David. It's just, and now we
You-
get.
mm.
So we just had that's a really nice transition that we cut to Moffat there, but now we
Mhm.
kind of had. It's just so tight. Oh, poor TG.
Mhm.
Academy Award, Best Supporting Actor. Do it, fuckers. Have some courage. Ugh. If you could do swearing tirades in Academy Award winner or in Academy Award nominee reels, I feel like that would change who would win. Just saying. And it would have cost Al Pacino Scent of a Woman because people gave him it for pity and swearing. He probably must have split the vote on something else too. I don't give a shit about the. I want to know what the actual voting was at the Academy Awards. I don't care about who wins or loses. Oh, the door was open. Okay, so we've seen Wilford Brimley in there. And now we've got this doors bolted from outside, which means somebody let themselves in and left it open. Oh, because so Clennon let Wilford Brimley out. That somehow one of the things unlocked this shack when it was out and about at some point.
Mhm.
So they made like a board game of this, and I think if you gave them enough money, you could get figurines. I don't know if you could get a little miniature station, but I've got the Back to the Future game, and I still haven't played that. So clearly,
Board game?
yeah, shit.
I don't remember.
I've got the Planes, Trains, and Automobile two-player game, and we haven't played that yet. So clearly, I'm not interested in trying these as much as I thought I'd be at one point during
Those
lockdown.
those those yeah uh those crossover games. They turn out a little weird.
Well, this is Funko's doing them. They're only like if you can find them on sale, they're like $20. But
Mm.
the problem is it's not like I got a bunch of time to try out a bunch of new games. Like no matter how cool they are and cheap. Like if it's like 15 on sale, I think I got Back to the Future for like 14.99. And
Mm.
it's got a whole like clock tower thing going on stuff, but it's like still haven't gotten around to it. Oh shit, that means they're gonna stop making those games because Funko's going Funko's finally, I think, going out.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought those fucking bobbleheads were.
They, I think they like tried to convince. I don't. I mean, think about it. Like people don't have enough room for that shit, and it gets expensive. And you're at the end of the day, you're like, oh, three of the other people in my apartment building have these or something. Like two more people in my friend group have complete collections, and it's just I got all the boys ones, and then in season 4, they 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 made fun of me. So I've got to get rid of all my Funko Pops, which is actually a thing. But anyway, I support.
Honestly,
Somebody posted a picture of his Funko Pops and was like, I supported you, Eric Kipney. And I think
mm,
Eric Kipney's response was, how much? I don't get any residuals from that. Like, fuck off.
I only wanted one, but ever since I looked it up, it's always been some obnoxious price, and I'm like, since when do people love Scrappy Doo this much?
Right,
Like, what the fuck? It's like some collector's item or some shit. I'm like, what the hell, man? Thought people hated Scrappy. What?
right. What what's the other guy? Super 7. I still like them. They do those Godzillas.
Mm,
But they every Friday they send out a warehouse finds email. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, that's bullshit. You're not finding something in your warehouse. Come on. Just fucking, be honest about it.
their shit
Overstock, maybe?
is
Like,
so. They gotta stop overpricing shit. Like, you gotta like
yeah.
who
Well,
really wants Silver Hawks? You know,
oh God, that's right.
who really wants Brave Star? Now, if it's for the collector, I mean, I think a lot of more people would buy those figures if they just came down.
I
You
do
know,
think, even though I'm not actually interested in it, from what I've seen, there's the Star Wars Black Label or whatever, and those I think
hmm
are only $20. And I'm
mm,
like, that's kind of okay. There was like this, Super Seven's doing the ultimate TMNT for,
mhm.
I think those are like 50 plus bucks a piece. I'm like, no, I'm
No,
sorry.
see,
No, no, thank you. I mean, yes, for somebody, but like, if it's
but who
there's,
really has? I mean, I guess there really is a lot of it because I see those fucking YouTubers. God
I
damn
mean,
it!
yeah, you got to realize people love that fucking cartoon. They weren't simultaneously too old for it and like trying to suss out how to get with the younger crowd and enjoy that shit in the
hmm
way that like we were stuck. We were just too old for it. And like, I don't know. And the comics are not there. Holy shit. I went
Hmm.
back and tried to read the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I'm like, well, those were good, right?
No,
Dude,
actually, the one that ran through Archie Comics that was based on the cartoon
that
turned
one
out
was
to be
probably
really good.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that one turned out to be
But
all right. It sort of fell apart towards the end,
oh,
but
the originals, and somebody told me that they're like, no, those suck. I'm like, they couldn't have sucked. They were printed in those cool album formats. Remember the first
mhm.
collection? Yeah. And no, they oof, art, rough art
Because in the beginning they weren't even really taking it seriously, anyways. They just it was supposed to be a parody.
of like Frank Miller. And it's just like,
Yeah,
I don't give a shit about Frank Miller either. That's okay. It's okay. Batman year one, some of that's awesome, but that's because of Lloyd. The
mm,
first issue, I think. I think it's like maybe the first two of Batman year one are good, and then it like, yes,
it
the
does kind
art's
of fall
great,
off.
but it falls off because they lose the pace. They fuck up the pacing and they don't sort of earn it. Wait, did I already make the comment that it is the official position of 709 Meridian that Full Metal Jacket ripped off its plotting from Stripes? I just wanted to get that on the record. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna blow the shit up.
This giant underground cavern that was beneath everything.
Okay, wait a second.
Mm.
How did they must have cut some exposition scene where somebody's like, and Blair didn't dig all that out. He dug into the old storage basement from Day of the Dead.
Because that's a lot of work. That would have meant somebody
Yeah.
there was already a thing.
Yeah. No. There's missing exposition about well, that's gross. There's missing exposition about how that's like their normal
Yeah.
storage basement or something. And
But all the rest of that caverns and caves and shit, that don't.
they're not surprised to see all this shit. So no, that's got to be the base's storage, and he just dug into the base's storage.
Oh
No, it's TK Carter's time.
yep. At least we don't see it.
I
Although
mean, it's also
they,
much better than our recent TK Carter going out in Southern Comfort,
yeah, it's not covered
where
out the
they're
bullshit.
like, nope, you're the black guy. We're going to get you killed first. That's a line of dialogue we just actually spoke aloud.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, though, because it's set in Louisiana, and that's charming. The fucking kids today crack me up. Like, they're like, calm down, the Confederacy didn't last as long as, like, Richard Greek. Think like some other timing thing. Like, it's shorter than the run. Like, the Wizards of Waverly Place ran longer than the Confederacy. Like, I'm like, God damn, I wish, like, we needed that fucking ammo in the 80s. I mean, maybe not, we didn't need it in school, but we needed that ammo in the 80s.
Yeah.
But since you didn't have shit streaming, people wouldn't understand time like that with TV. I mean, the Confederacy lasted longer than, or didn't last as long as Empty Nest. But you didn't have kids with that sense of fucking pop culture knowledge. That's another thing you got to realize in the 80s. Like, every parent was convinced, the boomers were very convinced that if their kids saw white boomers, let's be clear, waspy white boomers were very convinced that if their kids saw like stuff, it was gonna, there was a lot of repression, like rebound repression in the 80s that carried over to the kids. For did Kurt, somebody go listen to the commentary, did Kurt Russell want to do that flip? Okay. Frighteningly, the dog, the alien, the thing dog head looks a little bit like some of the original AI art for a certain album that we've dropped, folks. Over on the Total Experience Lounge, we got a new project, which you can go check out over there, because I probably don't have time to come up with a way of doing a commercial at the end of the episode yet. So, Fake Willie toasting us out is all I got time for at this point. Okay, so now end the movie.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Is Kurt Russell gonna make it? How's he gonna get rescued?
So the whole thing got blown away. I mean, I thought his shack was a ways from it.
Well, no, because if they were in the underground storage of the compound, they were putting that dynamite all throughout the compound. So that's the only way this movie makes sense. It's another way that, but really, that's the only way this movie makes sense because the fire and explosion happened on screen.
Mm.
Where were you, child? So, funny thing about this thing movie, and we will keep our eyes out for the next one, um, which I'm going to be bitching about just all the way through. And just the bad decisions of Mary Elizabeth Weinsted's career. Just
Oh wow.
the unfortunate bad decisions of that
But
woman's
she's
what
not
should
a
have
bad
been
actress at
a
all.
stellar career did not
Yeah.
work out for her. And we can discuss that. But
Now she's confined for life with
Ewan McGregor
E.
making it weird every time. Like, I think he like talks about how like his kids like her or something. I'm like, dude, your kids don't like her. Your kids don't, your daughters don't like her, dude. Okay. Go watch The Boys with Dennis Quaid and Jack Quaid if you think your daughters like her. And that doesn't seem fair. It basically seems like the situation where the punchline isn't that Kristen Stewart was coming out of the closet. It's that X, Y, and Z. Anyway, but here we go. So no resolution here. But what I was going to say before we got distracted was we never see two things of the same person, which should theoretically be possible. So that's what I want to see in the next movie. Can the thing be two of the same thing at the same time?
Mm.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
And there we have it.
Baby. The Carpenter. So if you listen to The Escape from New York, a Wilford Brimley, not the Wilford Brimley. So he had still not given that up. T.K. Carter.
T.K. Carter.
Third build, alphabetical order, but still third. People are still in the theater. Actually, they do a lot of.
Now, yeah, this is like where people are like, well, are they going to show something else? And that's how it ended.
Hey, we watched Scream Blackula Scream. You want to talk about fucking ending?
Right.
Okay, so hold on. I'm actually, who's next? Mauser. So Maloney's the guy who didn't go on to anything. I don't know where Jennings was. He didn't go on to. We should see how long people, based on thing end credits, how well Polis didn't go. That was Fuchs. His name's not. Maybe there isn't a Jennings. Maybe Jennings is something else. But yeah. So whose career went on based upon where they were cast in the list alphabetically. Larry Franco, co-producer Larry Franco, who would go on to be co-producer of Jurassic Park, and I believe he now does DCEU, folks. So cool. There are no good producers.
Who goes there?
Yep. Just this great fucking Morricone taking us out. There's some weird trivia about the soundtrack that like you can't make really another edition of it. And so when they re-released it finally, and it had to be limited edition, one of the like Film Score Monthly or La La Land or whoever, they could only do the exact same thing and clean up the audio a little, but they weren't allowed to do anything else. So that's why the only soundtrack release for decades was the Perez Saraband that I got at the whatever that fucking record shop was that was in Crocs and Bertano's.
Oh,
That fucking place.
Jesus, I miss malls. God.
No, in downtown Evanston.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They had one down there too.
Yeah. The Listen Along place. Oh, the fuck. Oh, God. The mall. Oh, God. Yeah. I feel like Crocs probably made it till 80, 88, 89.
Yeah, downtown Evanston used to be. They used to have everything, and it was a little,
More life.
well,
Yeah.
right.
A little
It's
bit
now
of
half the
it
year.
had personality, actually. Like, even for a suburban shopping district, it had enough variety in that block and a
Right.
half to have some personality. It had enough personality that you like. There were the guys who liked the fucking Gigio side of downtown Evanston, right? Like,
Hmm.
where you basically had to walk 3 blocks with nothing going on to get to the other side of it. And it was like,
Hmm.
that was still too far. Mike Plug, production illustrators, Mike Plug,
Yeah.
everyone, Werewolf by Night, Mike Plug. Also, Planet of the Apes, the magazine, which has, I believe, been collected. So if you want to see some beautiful Mike Plug art, um, Planet of the Apes magazine, where I believe he inked himself, because that's where it starts going to shit. And
He did my favorite Classics Illustrated, Tom Sawyer.
oh God, he would have done beautiful with that. Because Mike Plug, everyone, is a little bit of he's got a little Will Eisner in him. And so, but he's
Hmm.
got a little bit more sort of roundness that would just really work with Tom Sawyer. That's a good, I gotta check that shit out.
Yeah.
But then he didn't do Huck Finn.
I can't even remember if they did, because they did this. It wasn't Marvel Classics Illustrated. It was
Okay.
like a
Was it the
Classics
Classics
Illustrated.
Illustrated comeback?
I can't remember. I gotta look it up
Yeah, because they
because
tried that
they
comeback with
sold
it.
it at the newspaper stand, and it wasn't. It
So it
wasn't
could have
like
been
it wasn't like comic book paper either. It was like very,
okay.
you know.
Yeah. And then Clue pass in the middle of a project. Oh, whatever. So that you were right. British Columbia and Alaska National Forest.
Juno.
Don't Explain, performed by Billie Holiday, not extensively. And then Superstition, which was cut
CD.
from the
Hmm. Soundtrack.
VHS release. And
Oh,
maybe even the first, up to the first
oh, it
DVD.
was one of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
Universal was notorious for that shit
Cheap
in
as
multiple movies.
fuck.
I think for a while that's why Ridgemont High wasn't released right
Yeah.
because they had a lot
And
of.
again, folks, we've talked about this elsewhere on the pod, I think probably during Teen Wolf, but back in the day, you actually had to pay a lot of money for music rights. Now I assume you're like, what are you going to do? Do you need a hundredth of a cent from Spotify? You're going to take 25 bucks. You want 25 bucks? There you go. I now have your whole catalog. Or whatever. Okay, there's our logo. And that was Thing 1982. We very much live in a lesser universe for John Carpenter never hitting it big off of one of these movies.
Yeah, like he should have gotten.
Because, I mean, John Carpenter could do it with no money, and he could clearly do it with money. Where it fell apart is when John Carpenter had to do it with not enough money, I guess is what you would say. That's what the problem with Escape from New York is, or LA. You want to do
LA.
Escape from LA like that, you need to have enough money. You need to have a lot of money. You didn't. You had enough money to get it done and in the can and out. Wasn't, you needed more. More of everything, more time to work on it. Whatever. Like somebody to fucking read it and say, hi guys, you're not on the top of your game with the script. Let's fix it. But Carpenter never had that. I mean, even Starman, which was in by no means cheap, was a lot more frugal than it could have been.
Yeah, because there was no real necessity for excessive special effects.
Right. But so they worked within their budget. They had enough money, but they didn't get to do what they did with The Thing. And that's basically the deal, is that would Firestarter have been good? Who fucking knows? But, and then same with, I mean, if Assault on Precinct 13 had hit, if, we'll someday talk about The Fog. And then if Halloween, so Halloween, I mean, but then we have to also take into account that while we think about today's creative hostile, sort of somewhat creative hostile political culture, or definitely creative hostile political culture, but somewhat creator hostile culture. It wasn't, I mean, it was weaponized in the 70s, right? Like you weren't going to hire the guy who did Halloween because you would get boycotted by Billy Graham or some shit. Like there was all that sort of shit going on still. It wasn't when, one thing we can definitely thank Bob Dole for is he threw out the idea that any politician's take on popular entertainment matters. Like really, when he was like, yes, see wholesome family entertainment like Terminator 2, Judgment Day, True Lies, and Predator. And they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, I just assumed that Arnold Schwarzenegger only made family-friendly movies. And they're just like, did you hear the titles that you were speaking aloud, sir? And he didn't, because he's a fucking idiot. Anyway, next week is The Thing 2011, starring Mary Elizabeth Weinstadt. And is there anybody else who we're going to recognize?
Maybe.
Is one of the Skarsgårds in it? Is the younger Skarsgård in it maybe? The one who took
probably
forever to hit, and then some guy is Matthias van Newtenberg in it or something. And the director is also Dutch or sweet. He's from, oh God, whatever that, because the Netherlands is a place, but the region up there. And so the screenwriter has probably disowned it. I think he did. It's the fucking guy who wrote Nightmare on Elm Street. So that's what we're in for again. It's really weird. He disowned the movie of Nightmare on Elm Street, and he disowned this movie. Disowns him a lot.
He's delusional then.
He also this went through a director change that we may or may not read up on before we record. But hey, it's worse than Mindhunters. It's a worse movie than Rennie Harlin's Mindhunters. So we've got that to look forward to next week, folks.
I guess that just wraps it up, The Thing here. We're just trying to prepare for next week.
It's been a while since we've done anything like this to ourselves, so it's fine. We made it through Teen Wolf 2. That'll be the question.
No, we made it through Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends.
When? Yeah, but what was the latest, worstest? I mean, hold on. We made it through 2 seasons of Titans. We are fine.
Yeah.
On that excited note, folks, tune in next week for The Thing 2011.
Good night.
Helicopter flies, chasing down a sled dog under icy skies. Upon a shout, a rifle shot, confusion in the air. He falls in self-defense, and Gary's left to stare. Echoes in the ice, where the secrets lie, in the land of endless winter, beneath the frozen sky. But Freddy and his team, facing fear and doubt, in a world of cold deception, they must figure it out. Then Ray and Copper to the Norwegian base they go, among charred ruins and corpses. The truth begins to show. A malformed creature's body to their station it is brought. There's autopsy reveals human organs God's flamethrower burns bright, their fear a tightening noose. There's growing paranoia, a threat to all mankind. The creature's perfect mimicry, invading every mind. No, it's hard to sound, but it's a deadly ruse. Its chest becomes a mouth, how it's like to lose. Magnetic torch burns hot, every piece of thread. The thing inside them all, a truth we can't forget. Banging scream echoes as the thing starts to take hold. McCready's flames consume him in the Antarctic cold. There's trapped in the tool shed, madness in his eyes, sabotage and murder in a world of frozen lies. Echoes in the ice, where the secrets lie, in the land of endless winter, beneath the frozen sky. McCready and his team, facing fear and doubt, in a world of cold deception, they must figure it out. The truth, each man faces the fire. Palmer's blood recoils as the flames grow ever higher. The monster breaks its bonds, chaos reigns supreme. McReady's torch burns bright, shattering the dream. Charles guards the station, Blaze escaped his chains. A saucer in the making, from vehicle remains. The power's out, the heat is gone, their chances growing thin. McReady's final plan, a battle they must win. In the burning remnants, McReady sits alone. Childs returns, a shadow lost in the unknown. A bottle shared, distrust remains as the cold winds start to bite. In the endless Antarctic night, they wait for morning light. Echoes in the ice, where the secrets lie, in the land of